Good morning, everybody. I am Katie Phillips. I'm the founder of the School of Self-Love, and it's my absolute pleasure to welcome you to day 2 of the My Menopause interview series. I'm so excited for today's interview, this first one we're kicking off with. I've personally got a lot of little sneaky personal questions that I think I'm going to get into this interview, because we're talking about nutrition, and this is what we need to know, right? This is a really fundamental piece to support us through the menopause, is understanding what we're allowed to eat and drink, how our hormones affect our diet and what we're eating and drinking. I'm sure there's loads of you on the call that are going to have plenty of questions, and we are going to be doing Q&A today. Hold on, I'm just going to change my view here. There we go, so I can see all of us. That looks better. I don't know if you can see the difference, ladies, but I can. We will be having Q&A today. If you are live here on Zoom, and I can see quite a few attendees joining us, you do have the chance to ask questions. We've got 3 incredible experts. This is actually so valuable. So you can get your questions answered, and towards the end of the interview, when it kind of feels right, I will go into the Q&A and see what questions you're leaving. You'll see if you're on Zoom that there's a little Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. You just click on that, type in your questions. I'll come to it a little bit later on the call. For those of you that are watching on the Facebook Live, hello and welcome. We do welcome your questions, but we can't answer them live on the call. So if you want to type in your questions on the Facebook feed, and I'm sure the ladies, our experts, will jump in over there at some point later today or tomorrow and read your questions and answer them for you. Otherwise, we'll get going, shall we? Welcome. So today I have Christine Trumbull. And Christine, actually, where in the world are you right now?
I'm in Pennsylvania in the United States.
Pennsylvania, and it's really early in the morning for you.
It's 4 a.m.
Oh, wow. Amazing to jump on this call. I don't think you'd have committed. I think we had a time zone confusion, and I don't think you'd have said yes had you have known.
Oh, no, I would have said yes. Yes, I would.
You're awesome. And we've got Sophie Wedlock with us. Sophie, where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Ascot in Berkshire.
Brilliant. In the UK.
In the UK.
And we've got Lorraine Palmer. Where are you, Lorraine?
I'm calling in from Wolverhampton, which is also in the UK.
Awesome. Thanks, ladies. Right, so what I'm going to do is just read out your bios so that I can big you up in a way that you probably won't do for yourselves, and then we'll dive into some questions. So just to introduce Christine Trumbull first. Christine is a recovering CPA who decided to take her research-minded brain and turn it to nutrition and health to naturally repair the damaging effects menopause can have on our bodies. She has reversed several health issues she was dealing with, regained her energy, vibrancy, and is enjoying life again. She understands the emotional and physical damage menopause can do, but refused to take that route. She enjoys amazing food, exercise on her terms, and is living the second half of her life like a 20-year-old. Sophie Wedlock is the founder of SW Nutrition. She helps her clients to increase energy, balance weight, reduce stress, and balance hormones to improve quality of life, enhance health, and a natural zest for life. She provides her clients with bespoke naturopathic nutritional plans supported by evidence-based science. She has a great deal of knowledge in supporting patients improve their immune systems and find natural balance while working closely with the patient's doctor. Her vision is to inspire and educate individuals to take ownership of their own health. Beautiful. Welcome, Sophie.
Thank you.
And Lorraine Palmer is the founder of Vegan Raw Cooked. She's a healthy lifestyle creator and plant-based food chef, mentor, and the author of a book called Raw Food in a Flash. This book is part self-care guide and raw recipe book for the menopausal woman. She's been featured in Chat, Daily Mail, and has graced the cover of the Wolverhampton Lifestyle magazine and appeared on countless live stream shows talking about the wonders of eating a plant-based diet. Since premiering the film Hot Flash Havoc in the UK in 2013, she's been on a mission, teaching others about adopting a different way of nourishing your body by eating more raw, plant-based and vegan foods. Welcome, 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 ladies. So awesome to have you. And I think we're going to get a really fantastic mix of answers to my questions. And as I was saying to you guys before we came live on the call today, what I'm really excited about with this interview series, and the reason why I've called it My Menopause, is I really do believe it's important that we women get really hooked up with as much information as possible so that we can create a plan to support ourselves through our own unique menopause, because we're all unique individuals. We all have unique needs. And what I'm already discovering is our needs in menopause actually change as our menopause continues on. So it's like kind of an ongoing process. And what each of you offer allows a woman to say, do you know what, I'm going to take a little bit of what Lorraine said, and I'm going to take a little bit of what Sophie said, and a little bit of what Christine said, and that will work for me, right? So that's really what I kind of wanted from this panel interview today as well. So let's dive in, and I'm going to start with Sophie. What should we be eating and drinking during the menopause?
Okay, well, thank you for having me on, Katie. To start off, I think the key thing is protein and balancing blood sugar levels. And to do this throughout the day, it can be vegetarian protein, lean meat, oily fish. You've got to think feeding your cells. It could be fermented tofu. So if you have a snack in the day, be it a banana or an apple, try and make sure you're having some protein with it, because that's a glucose. So when you wake up in the morning, I suggest having a protein-rich breakfast, for instance, scrambled eggs or porridge with seeds and natural nut butter. Think protein every single meal. Also, fibre is really important, because you'll need more fibre going through the menopause just to keep the systems working more efficiently. I also recommend drinking at least 2 litres of water. I love seeing people drink hot lemon water, which I have every morning, with a non-plastic straw and with a bit of fresh ginger.
Why a straw, Sophie? Why are you using a straw?
Because lemon water is quite acidic on the outside of the body, but very alkaline once you drink it. So it can damage the enamel on your teeth without the straw. So I always tell clients to drink it with a straw, non-plastic.
Yes, non-plastic. Thank you for saying
absolutely.
That. Plastic in the world, yes.
And then I always suggest clients sage water. Excuse me, I'm going to have some of my water.
Go for it. It's early in the morning.
I've had great results reducing hot flashes with sage water.
Sage water?
Fresh sage leaves in water. Keep it in the fridge overnight. It's actually a delicious drink, and it really controls hot flashes. It really helps. I've had great results.
Amazing.
Sorry, Kate. I also suggest avoid things like artificial sweeteners, too much caffeine. I often say green tea because it's slightly weaker in caffeine, and it will still give you a buzz. But I would also just kind of gentle, kind foods, seeds, foods as natural state as possible as they are in nature. Like an apple is an apple. Vegetables are vegetables. Things that are processed in a factory and have more than 5 ingredients, please try and stay clear of those.
Why can't we have caffeine?
Because that increases adrenals, which I'll talk about later, but also it can actually speed up hot flashes in women, and we want to reduce them and be kind to the body and balance blood sugar levels and help keeping you feel sane and in control of how you're feeling. And things that are strong, like alcohol, coffee, really spicy foods, they're going to trigger hot flashes. So we want to minimize those. They're the key things I would suggest.
Do you think, how quickly would, and I'm going to get to the other ladies as well with these questions, and maybe think about what I'm asking Sophie, and if you want to just dive in, it's fine. But I'm really interested to know, how quick can these changes occur? Because I've noticed I was suffering night sweats, terrible night sweats. I have to sleep with a towel. I sleep with a towel on the side of the bed so that in the middle of the night I can just sort of mop myself down. Not very pretty, right? But I found the last couple of weeks, no alcohol, no caffeine, and I'm not having any night sweats.
No, it's pretty instant, actually.
Is it that quick?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people can have a coffee and instantly have a hot flash. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
So it's pretty instant.
Okay.
Just these small little tweaks to your diet and you will feel a different person, I promise, within a couple of days.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I was speaking with another one of the experts that I'm speaking with later in the week, and we were having a chat a couple of weeks ago, and I told her that I have oats for breakfast, and I was really feeling like I was putting on weight, actually, and it didn't seem to be suiting me, and she had an opinion about, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but she was like, something about not eating oats for breakfast.
Okay.
On that from anybody? And by the way, since stopping it, I've lost the weight around my belly straight away, and I feel better. It's right.
How many oats were you having?
Oh, just a small bowl of like porridge.
And were you having it? What were you having with? Milk or
hot water? Actually,
hot water.
I literally just would add hot water to oats, and then some hemp oil and flax oil and nuts and seeds and so on. I thought they were amazing, healthy.
That's interesting because I find a lot of people feel like they lose weight having oats. So I think it just depends on the individual.
See, that's it. Christine, what do you think on that?
Yeah, so as your estrogen levels go down, and actually as your estrogen and progesterone fluctuate, insulin is incredibly sensitive to the fluctuations of EMP, estrogen and progesterone. So as your estrogen goes down, insulin becomes even more sensitive. And oats, being a grain, are carbohydrates, higher in carbohydrates than, say, spinach or eggs, or fill in the blank, something that's not a higher carbohydrate insulin producing. So one of the things that you just have to remember as a woman in perimenopause, menopause, as estrogen plummets or even does this, so does your insulin. And estrogen goes down, insulin sensitivity goes up. So if you happen to be in a situation right now, being as you told me, you're in perimenopause. If you happen to be in a place now where your estrogen is super low, your insulin sensitivity is very high. So you add a carbohydrate to it, it's going wing. Let's do all of the chemical reactions related to that, and we're going to store some fat.
Yeah.
It is definitely varying with individuals. I look at a carbohydrate and I put on 5 pounds. It's just, I am genetically predispositioned to be that lucky. And some women are, and a lot of it is also going to depend on where your estrogen levels are at the time, because insulin is super sensitive to those fluctuations.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I told you I'm going to inject my own personal questions into this. It's my Q&A too. That's why I created this series. Okay, so you've mentioned some really awesome points there, Sophie. Is there anything else you want to add to what we should be eating and drinking through the menopause?
No, I think that's a little summary of the most key important points. And, I often deal with diet first, but then look at supplements later with the client, because there's some lovely menopause supplements out there. I'm not going to go and name some, but there are some amazing things you can take with lots of B vitamins to help balance hormones, omega-3s, different types of omega-3s.
Right.
So I think it's key to kind of look into different things. There's different creams you can get, so many different things, but I would actually say always speak to a professional before you take them, because there are so many interactions with supplements.
Right.
And things like iron, for instance, people supplement with iron. I'm not just saying for the menopause, but you shouldn't take an iron supplement with dairy or caffeine, because it inhibits the absorption of it. No one knows this. Yeah. Mostly people take iron in the morning and have cereal with milk and then a coffee with milk, and it doesn't work. So please, yeah.
That's what I've been doing. Not at the moment though, because I'm my no dairy and I'm on soy milk. I want to talk about soy later on in this interview. Okay, wonderful. Lorraine, what's your take on this?
Well, for me, I think you realise, obviously, I'm vegan, so it's all about plant-based foods, because I found that when I went through my menopause about 9 years ago, I switched to eating, more plant-based foods, in particular raw foods. And I realised that really helped me. So I would advocate to any woman out there is to eat more whole foods in terms of from the plant kingdom. So we're looking at obviously grains, we're looking at fruits and vegetables in their whole state. And when I talk about eating more of a plethora of things from the plant kingdom, I don't mean like some people say, oh, I can eat fruit and that'll be it. Because what you've got to remember with fruit as well, that it does still contain sugar, and it has the impact of still giving you those different spikes. Because what you've got to remember as well is that when you're going through the menopause, your hormones are all over the place. And the last thing you want is for anything to just exasperate that as well. So it's having a balanced food range to actually incorporate into your body. And really, you've got to make sure that you're having great things like your antioxidants, you're having your good fats. So we're talking things coming from your avocados, your olive oils, and obviously the nuts and seeds. And they've obviously got protein as well. Because the last thing you want to do, you don't want to isolate anything, because chances are you're going to be depleted of certain nutrients anyway. So if you can get a rainbow of foods coming from the plant kingdom, and also you may have to supplement as well, because as we know, our food is not as nutritious as it used to be. So unfortunately, it relates to everybody. It's not just women that are going through the menopause, it is generally everyone. And you've got to maintain hydration as well, because as you know, we're about 70+% made up of fluid anyway, and therefore like attracts like. And there is that thing about vaginal atrophy when you're going through the menopause, so you need to be kept plumped up, which is why I advocate food from the plant kingdom, because obviously it's hydrating for you as well. So I would say for people in the morning, maybe, have a green juice or have a green smoothie if you can hack it. The reason why I say that is because obviously because of the fiber, it might bloat some people up, and depending on their constitution, it may not be right with them. Because, I really feel for me, having the juice helped me more so, because I guess when you're looking at how the nutrients get to the body quickly as well, especially when you're going through the menopause and you just need to be nutritionally satisfied. And sometimes a smoothie may not help in that because it's a slower transition. So for me, I would advocate whole foods, and obviously I'm staying away from the meat side of things, because even though, you go organic, as some people may, I still feel that's going to be interrupting really with what's going on in your body, because your body's trying to be the best it can. Going through the menopause, you're fighting against all sorts of things that are happening. Things are depleting, and you're putting more things on that are stressful. And as we all know, when it comes to like eating meat, it takes harder for the body to digest. So therefore, I will say just stay more whole foods orientated and get a good range of foods from the plant kingdom, and keep hydrated and make sure you've got your fats in there as well. So that's my take on making sure that your body is equipped for all the menopause.
When Sophie was talking about the importance of having protein in us, how do we get protein?
Oh, geez. This question comes up so...
Yeah.
Oh, I would be rich if, The way in which I answer this question is you just got to look at animals. You look at animals like the elephant, the gorilla. They're big, strong animals, and they eat vegetables. They eat the plant kingdom, and they're massive. So I would say, for anybody out there who feels, but where do you get the protein? Surely it's the fish, it's the nuts. Yeah, nuts are great, but you want something a bit different, because nuts can sometimes play havoc on you as well. The leafy greens, that's where you can get your protein from. And there's more protein in, say, for example, hemp than there is in like a piece of steak, for example, that most people would probably run to and say, yeah, I'll have a piece of steak and I'll be fine. Seriously, stick with your greens, your vegetables. You'll get lots of protein from them, and also your nuts and your seeds as well, So really, that question needs to be put to bed, I think.
No, it needs to be talked about so that we're not like, so that we're educated. I love that answer.
Yeah.
And what about, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so I really hear you on the whole meat piece. But if I'm a woman, or there are going to be women listening, and maybe we'll get some of these in the Q&A today, they don't, they love their meat. I don't really want to give it. What do we just invite them to just, well, maybe just replace one meal a week or a couple of meals a week with vegetarian?
You know what? I'm not silly. I know that there are women out there who will not completely eradicate meat out of their diet. And that's fine, because my motto, you could say, is more raw, for example, is better than no raw. More plant-based foods is better than no plant-based foods. Yeah. Because it can be a transitional thing for a lot of women. Yeah. It's not a case that they're going to come to me and say, right, Lorraine, I know you're all about the vegan and what have you. Is this what you're going to say to me that I'm going to have to aim for? And I say, no, it's where you're starting from. People come to me because they recognize that, do you know what, Lorraine, I'm going through this change. I know my eating has to change. I know that I'm not eating as much fruits and vegetables and whole foods. So I'm coming to you to support me with that, because I'm not really sure where I'm going with it. And I just take them on a journey, really, a transformational journey, where they're starting from to where they want to end up. And yeah, I'll say to them, okay, have a meat-free Monday, for example. You know, Oprah did it. It works for her and a lot of other people. Try that. Get the family involved. Do competitions. See who, for example, every weekend can cook the best, you know, plant-based meal without actually putting any meat on the plate. And just make it more exciting. So I always go from where the person is starting from. I do not say, right, you've got to do this, because everybody's journey is different. And also, if you're used to meat so much, you may get withdrawal symptoms. And I don't want to be, you know, advocating that you just, you know, go cold turkey, pardon the pun. You know, everyone's different. So my take is, do what you have to do to make that change for yourself. And it may mean doing things in an incremental way, little baby steps.
Beautiful. I like that approach too. It's very self-loving.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. We don't need to go extreme. I mean, menopause is enough of a change, right? So,
well, this is it. If you're going to have extreme changes, that could impact on your symptoms as well, because the body's thinking, well, what are you doing? You know, I was, not to say coasting along nicely with my menopause, but you're giving me something else to deal with that's going to really impact, you know, how I'm feeling.
It's almost like we need to be even more gentle with ourselves. And this is something I'm already discovering. The menopause is actually an opportunity for us to know ourselves better.
Yes.
Just go a little slower, really stop projecting outside and come in a little bit and just take who am I? What does my body need?
Exactly.
Rushing through life and shoving that in my face and, you know, drinking that.
This is it. Because I normally say to women, if there's any time in your life where you've got to start looking and taking care of yourself, it's when you hit the menopause. It's like a wake-up call, because so many things start to happen for a woman. She starts to realize that, I can't be going on the same how I used to before. Something has got to change. And a lot of that emphasis is normally on, you know, lifestyle, and including in lifestyle is the way you eat. And that's why I find people coming to me, because they realize, all this over-processed food, all these trans fats, all this, you know, refined sugar, I need to change this. And obviously that's why they come to me. But I know my way doesn't fit and suit everybody. I just know that it's back to basics, it's natural. And to me, if you're not going to eat plant-based foods, if you're really wanting to eat wholesome food, then what are you going to eat, really? You know, that's how I see it. But it's just making that food tasty. That's the main thing, because not everybody feels like, I don't know, a broccoli is going to give them the same satisfaction as maybe a bag of chips.
Yeah.
Or a piece of steak.
I'm addicted to broccoli. I'll just eat.
It's good.
Broccoli's great, but that's a bit of a weirdo around that.
Yeah,
I think actually this is something that I bet Christine will want to speak to, because I know, Christine, you're really passionate about making food taste great, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
How about you share what should we be, or you know, what should we be eating and drinking during the menopause?
I'm not going to disagree with anything that's been said here. Whole foods, more vegetables, less processed. You know, my motto is nothing in a box, bag, or can.
Yes.
Especially here in the U.S. get back into the kitchen, learn how to cook. Don't be afraid of your kitchen, and don't be afraid of your food. Food is, especially real food, whole foods. I mean, I lean more high fat, moderate protein, less carbohydrate. I lean a little bit more primal than vegan. But my plate, 3/4 of my plate is filled with vegetables every single meal, except breakfasts are usually a smoothie. And that's simply for convenience.
What do you have in your smoothies?
I'm sorry?
What do you have in your smoothies?
A lot. I'm literally packing stuff down into that thing, and usually it includes 2 cups of spinach or kale, some sort of green leafy. But there's berries, there's a plant-based protein, there's flaxseed or chia seeds, there's maca root, coconut or almond milk. So I get a lot in there. It's a lot, and then I'll mix it up sometimes. But learning, get back in the kitchen, enjoy your food, because whole real food can be a lot of fun and amazingly flavorful. When you take all of the processing out of it, the flavor of food is remarkable. And people don't, especially here in the US, we've forgotten that vegetables, they're like, "Ew, I don't like vegetables." You don't like vegetables because your palate is so overridden with the sugar and salt and processed additives that you don't know what broccoli really tastes like. You don't know what spinach really tastes like. It actually has an amazing flavor profile.
Yeah.
So, the more vegetables, whole foods, less processed.
Yeah, and more water.
And absolutely more water. That's all other than my morning coffee, that's all I drink. Yeah, I have 1 cup.
I like Sophie's recommendation of putting the sage in the water as well to reduce.
Yes. Yeah, I like that. That's fantastic. I do a lot of lemon water, but I'm going to do the sage water. That sounds fantastic.
Brilliant. Lemon water with a straw. Got it.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on. You guys all are working directly with menopausal women. So I would love to hear what the most common complaint is that women are coming to you with. And I know they're coming to you with a lot of different stuff, but if you can maybe kind of narrow it down to the most common complaint and how you're specifically supporting them with that. Lorraine, do you want to kick off?
Yeah, sure. Oh, let me think. The main one I would say is around the weight gain. And it's as if for them, they feel it suddenly appeared, and they feel a sense of not connected to their body. And I get that because I felt exactly the same way as well. And I normally say to people, okay, before you actually work with me, I need you to actually do some sort of food and mood diary, because I need you to tell me exactly what your eating patterns are like and what you're eating and also what you're drinking. But also it's about your lifestyle as well. And I think you mentioned it before, we're going to talk about stress later, but being so stressed can impact on you holding on to fat in a big, big way. So for me, I need to actually have some time with that person and get an idea of just what their life is like up until this point, because obviously going through the menopause is a transitional thing that they're going through. And it's like, what has led you up until this point to be feeling so bad and gaining weight? So I will gain as much information as possible, and then just look at their relationships as well, because that can also impact on how they're feeling and therefore their bodies as well. I'm going to obviously ask them to take measurements, because it's always great to see like a before and after type thing. People like that. But I always think, it goes by how you feel and how you can fit into your clothes rather than, how much inches you've lost. But those things always help for people. And for me, I do find that when I do strip down everything in terms of gaining all that information, when I'm sat down with them, it's very obvious a lot of the time what's going on. They're leading a very sedentary life. They're not as active as they used to be. and they're not taking care of themselves as they feel they are, because they feel to themselves, oh, they're helping everybody else, and yeah, they have a bit of time for themselves with a glass of wine and they watch telly, but then it's like, okay, what's in the alcohol? Sugar. You're watching telly, you've got all these waves going on in front of you on a certain vibrational level, and that's impacting on your brain in terms of making you feel a certain way, probably heightening your stress as well. So there's lots of things that I can gather from someone purely by sitting down with them for a while, getting them to fill out this form, and really stripping back and giving them some plus points to move forward. Because from my perspective, a lot of women are doing a lot of things, and they're at that age, they may be around the 50 mark, or for me, it was my very early 40s. And you've had life experience up to that point. And with this feeling of putting on weight because you've actually slowed down yourself, but also you've maintained eating the same way. So if you think about it, if you're not as active as you normally were and you're eating the same, and this is normally a light bulb moment that happens for them, then I'm saying to them, well, think about it. If you're more sedentary now, you're not as active, chances are your job's a sitting down job as well. You're still eating the same sorts of food. What do you think is going to happen? You are going to put more weight on. Yeah. And in particular for women, they do they have that muffin top. Yeah. But also it's that time in a woman's life where there are other factors around them that may cause them to be quite stressed. And obviously when you're stressed, you produce a lot of adrenaline, then the cortisol comes into play, and therefore the fat comes around the middle. And that's why I make sure that I look at them in a holistic way. I need to know what's going on for them, because there's going to be so many different factors that play in for someone who puts on weight. It's not for them overnight. It's like a gradual thing, but they sometimes feel it's overnight because they've just found out that they're going for the menopause, and then they just look down there and think, oh, I've got this belly. But it could be all sorts of things. And stress is a very key one that can impact on the midriff area, getting a bit more of a punch, which women do want to eradicate. So when it comes to moving forward with women, it is about their diet. I hate that word, but I can't find another word that replaces it. But it's looking at their food. It's looking at where we can incorporate some lifestyle changes. And lifestyle changes could be just initially getting more exercise, but you've got to be careful there, because obviously if you're pounding away in the gym and what have you, that can cause stress on the body. And that's another impact of where the cortisol can come into play. And therefore they're not actually, losing the weight, which is an interesting one, because I do get some people who say, I'm exercising so much, Lorraine, and I'm not losing the weight. And I'm thinking, yeah, because you're stressing your body out so much. Maybe that particular exercise is not right for you. You may need to do something else. And they're a bit surprised at that, because everyone always feels you've got to, use more energy in order to, burn the fat. But in actual fact, they could be putting fat on them because of their raising their cortisol levels, which is a weird one, which is why you've got to make sure that whatever support I'm giving them, I am with them all the way. And I feel like I'm being nosy, but I need to know what they're doing in order to be where they are. So it's very much a holistic thing, a lifestyle thing. So looking at their diet, replacing a lot of things with wholesome food, a lot of raw food as well, because I do find out that people eat a lot of processed food, highly salt, highly sugar, highly refined, and no wonder they're putting on the weight with the sedentary lifestyle as well, and with the cortisol levels going up also. So for me, we're going back to basics. And also, I always try and say to them, it may be a good idea to go to your doctors and maybe get your blood sugar, read to see what's going on there. And also look at their thyroid glands, because that could impact on various things that are happening. Because some people say, well, I'm not losing weight as quickly as I thought I would be. Well, there may be something else going on. And I'm not professing to be a doctor or a medic or anything like that. So I need them to do their bit. So it's like a two-pronged approach, really. I can help with your food and lifestyle changes, but also when it comes to the medical side, you have to obviously see your GP. And then at least we can kind of work together. So based on any results that are taken, I can say, okay, then let's try X, because that will obviously counteract something that's happening on the medical side. Yeah. But it's really interesting how people feel that, oh, they're doing the same thing, and surely it's not going to have an impact. Well, maybe that's the thing. You need to change things up a bit.
Yeah. I've had the same experience.
Mm.
I've been the same, and I get it. I like what you said about, right when you began speaking, you talked about menopause being a transition.
Yes.
Are you saying that we go through this period of time, however long our menopause lasts for, because I know it's different for everybody, are you saying once we come out the other side of it, things calm down again and we can kind of go back to our old, so like,
okay,
caffeine and the booze and the car?
No, definitely not.
In 10 years time, or
don't get excited. Hold the reins. What I would really say is this: okay, you've gone through a stage in your life where, you know, things are a bit up there, hormones are playing up. Yeah. You've realized that the way you're eating and the way you're stressing your body is just making things worse. Your menopause symptoms are not great. You've got your fuzzy head, you're moody, all these different things, okay? And then you realize that, okay, I'm changing my lifestyle. I'm changing how I eat. Oh, I'm feeling so much better. Great. It doesn't give you a license to then say, right, I'm going to go out there and eat all the things that I knew that I had to put by the wayside in order to feel different. Because I look on that as, isn't that a bit, you know, that's not right. You know, if you know better now in terms of how food impacts on you, why would you go back and put that same substance in that may have contributed to how you're feeling? So I would basically advocate, doesn't mean you can't eat it at all, but in moderation, but also monitor how you're feeling. Because that may give you an idea to say, actually, I think I had one such and such, a bit too many. Maybe I can only have one of those things. So for example, for a woman, they may stop drinking alcohol, for example, but they may find that when they have that one glass of wine, their hot flushes just went, whew. So they feel, actually, maybe I can't go there. And they may have to find an alternative drink that they really like. But everyone's going to be different. Another woman may have 2 glasses of red wine after maybe abstaining from alcohol for a while and realize, actually, 2's enough for me. I feel okay. I can, you know, maintain that. And my body's not reacting in a way that I feel, oh gosh, I'm not able to do that anymore. So I'm not trying to paint a picture of, oh, when you stop doing these things, you've got to stop them for life. It depends on yourself. It depends on how your body reacts. Everybody's body constitution is so different. What I can eat and maybe get away with, somebody else may not be able to. The same with exercise. I can probably go to the gym, do a workout that is quite easygoing, whereas somebody else, they feel that they have to go for it and pound for it because that's when they're going to lose the body fat rather than the sugar that they've just ingested. Everyone's different. So you just got to listen to your body more. And that is one of the key things that I advocate for women. This is a time in your life where you need to start listening to your body, pay attention. You know, in our other years where we could run around and do things, your body was, you know, stronger, more robust. As we get older, things do deplete. And we've got to nip it in the bud before it goes really down. Yeah. You know? So it's not doom and gloom.
It's not all doom and gloom.
No, it isn't.
I'm looking forward to the day when my coffee and glass of wine doesn't cause me to have night sweats.
There you go. But there may be a payoff. There may be other things that you may have to have that are more nutritionally satisfying and more healthy for you in order for you to have those treats, so to speak. It's a balance thing.
It is about balance.
You will know when you've got the balance right.
Thank you, Lorraine. Sophie, what's your take on this? What are you seeing in your patients? And how?
Brilliant. Just adding on to what Lorraine says, adrenal fatigue is the key thing I'm seeing, which you kind of touched on, putting weight around the middle and increased cortisol. I have a protocol I take clients through. But the key thing is when you eat, rest and digest. So don't eat in front of your computer. Don't have your TV dinners. Don't eat with your phone next to you. Sit at a table and eat and relax and rest and digest. You know, because that will mean you're absorbing your vitamins and minerals and it will help your body relax and digest the food and kind of slow down the hot flushes. There are certain things, I mean, everyone's completely different. Sorry, Katie, were you going to say something?
Why can't we eat in front of the TV?
Because it's not resting and digesting. You're not focusing on your food.
Yeah,
you're watching the TV. You're not taking in the flavours.
So you're all really agreeing on this.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, Lorraine, you said something about and I'll let Sophie answer this, but you did mention something about how watching TV can add stress.
Yeah, because do you know what? Every second there's like 25 frames per second. And this is a vibration. This is something that the brain is registering. And can you imagine that's happening on maybe an unconscious level? You don't even realize that. So you can imagine all that going on, which is I always say to people, turn off your wireless, turn off your phone, turn off your iPad, turn off your computer. All these things are emitting, electronic rays around the place. The body has to then deal with that, plus the menopause stuff, your hormones going up, plus all that food, plus the stresses of something happening and somebody calling upon you. And you could be, a woman where you're looking after kids, but you're also looking after maybe your mum or your father, that kind of generation. Yeah. There's so much going on. So try and eliminate these things. So yeah, I definitely agree, Sophie.
Thank you.
Those things you need to, people don't realize it. Less subtle.
I was thinking a TV dinner was a real treat.
Oh my days!
Relaxing, like chilling out, watching a film, having some food. No,
they're not helping you. Those TV dinners
for me. Okay, so
plus they're in boxes and packages.
Well, no, I mean, like I would make a nice healthy meal
and put in front of the TV
and watch TV while I'm eating, but
no.
All right, Sophie, what else? So speak to what else are you seeing in your clients? And
the other key thing I see is constipation. So the key thing I would suggest is having 2 pints of hot lemon water. This is my third one this morning. Having that every day and having a green superfood supplement. Obviously, I like green juices, but you have to be careful if you have thyroid issues. Having green juices, because certain vegetables need to be thoroughly cooked. Otherwise, they can aggravate your thyroid and your goitrogen. So you've got to be so careful. Yeah. But if you Google vegetables that do that, it will come up with a list. It's quite easy. So that's a key thing. I often tell clients to soak linseeds in water overnight. 4 tablespoons is a lot. Mix it up and drink it. And it is quite a difficult thing to drink, but trust me, things will get rocking and rolling very quickly for you and naturally, and it will remove bad hormones as well from your body. It's amazing. Flax seeds are amazing.
Do you drink the actual flax seeds with the water?
Yeah.
Drink them down, 4 tablespoons.
4 tablespoons in a big pint glass.
Why menopausal women suffering constipation? Where's that coming from?
All your hormones are changing. Like pregnant women often have problems. You've got to think speeding up processes in your body because they're beginning to slow down and removing toxins from your body as well. That's why I like super green powders with lots of vegetables. There are some great powders out there that literally have got 2 servings of vegetables a day, because we should really be having 10 servings of vegetables a day, not 5. So to do that, a super green powder can have 2 of your 10 servings a day. So if you could do that before breakfast, brilliant, with lots of hot water, just get things moving and you'll feel so much better. Your skin will look better. You'll be more focused and alert, more awake.
Beautiful. Thank you. That's wonderful. Christine, what's coming across your table?
Well, definitely weight, definitely adrenal fatigue. I've suffered from both of them. So, from that, from the weight gain, from the exhaustion, from the adrenals, from all of the other issues that are going on, and the rapid change, the brain fog, maybe the thinning hair, the brittle nails, all of this stuff is going on. And one of the biggest issues that I see a lot of is depression and self-esteem. And, where did this body come from? Because this wasn't the one I had yesterday and I want that back, So, a lot of what I work with my ladies is definitely, and this is, in addition to, the nutrition, absolutely, because once you dial that in, you are going to feel better. You're going to lose weight and all of that stuff, but taking care of themselves. I think Lorraine definitely touched on this. the journaling, but social interaction, especially for perimenopausal women, because when you get together with other women of your age, you can start, talking about, relating. Basically, you need to relate to other people so you don't feel like you're the only crazy person in the room.
Yes.
And sleep and doing things for yourself, making that time every single week to do something for yourselves. I make my ladies put it in their calendar, schedule time for themselves.
Yeah.
2 and 3 times a week. And if that's a massage, if that's, going out with the girls, if that's, if it's a mani-pedi, whatever. And I tell them, if a manicure is maintenance for you, that is not relaxed time, because for me, it's not relaxed time. It's
like, go do it.
Get it done as in and out as fast as possible. So that doesn't count. So now,
watching TV doesn't count either.
Watching TV doesn't count. No, absolutely not. And, you got to get rid of that blue light, that messes with your sleep and the whole bit.
Yeah.
Slowing down a little bit. I tell them, look, you just spent the last 30 years taking care of your husband, your kids, and anybody else that came along. Now it is time to take care of you. And when you can get the social interactions, when you can get the quiet times, when you can get the me time, and it doesn't, 5 minutes of quiet, uninterrupted meditation, that can be some take care of me time. A lot of women don't even get that. If you've got kids in high school getting ready to go to college and you're running a business, and some women of this age are actually working full-time and running a second job because they're transitioning to their second life, when do you get that 5 minutes of quiet? You have to take the time to really nurture yourself. And that, when you do that, in addition to changing your nutrition, you're going to start going, oh, okay, I recognize this person again. And that's huge in mindset. And it does help a lot. It definitely helped me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really hearing you, ladies. This is such good advice. My next question was going to be around stress. And I know we've definitely touched on this a lot already, but Christine, is there anything else you would like to add around the stress conversation? Because this is, well, actually, hold on. Sorry. Why is stress suddenly even more an important topic in the menopause?
Because, excuse me, in order to understand why stress is so important in menopause, I'm going to give you a little bit of a science class, and I'll be quick because I know we have time. We have a time issue.
Go for it.
So back in the day, you have Mama Cave Lady, okay? Mama Cave Lady has cave baby, okay? And the tiger comes up, and Mama Cave Lady has to decide whether or not she is going to pick up a stick and defend her and her child, or run away, grab the kid and run. And this is our fight or flight response, okay? And we as humans have evolved over millions of years, and to deal with all sorts of predators and food shortages and ice ages and disasters and countless day-to-day things that increase that fight or flight. So if you think it's hard today, if you think we're stressed out today, imagine walking down the street and having a tiger jump out at you from behind a dumpster or something and look at you like your dinner. And it's a funny picture, but when you understand the physiological reaction of stress, that's what we need to really understand. So, for example, somebody comes up behind you and scares you, sneaks up and goes, woo! You get this surge. You get a little shaky, your heart starts racing. That's we understand that as an adrenaline rush, okay? And basically it's our primal brain getting the signal, excuse me, of an impending threat. And our body is reactively flooding, our system is reactively flooding our body with adrenaline, noradrenaline, cortisol. Cortisol, we heard it before. And it gives us that it gives what our primal self needs to stay and fight or run like heck and get out of Dodge. Okay. The adrenaline rush. So our primal selves used to fight or flight. And by doing either one of those, we're activating the body to release additional hormones like testosterone. We do have a little bit of testosterone. And that's all from that physical exertion of trying to stay alive. We are still aligned that way. We are physiologically, biologically made that way. The exertion, the being active of running or fighting releases all of these other hormones, which actually makes us leaner and increases our body's ability to run faster the next time or fight better the next time. Okay. But today we get stressed out because our boss is cranky, or because we had a fight with our kids or our husband, or traffic is difficult. I am so sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I pass my cough over to you.
And instead of running and releasing all those other hormones to deal with all of this, we sit in front of our computers, we sit in front of our TV, we sit in front of our phones, we sit, and we have large quantities of adrenal hormones running rampant in our bodies, and that's not good. The one major job that adrenal hormones has is to provide us with enough sugar and fat to burn as energy. So again, run or fight. But if we're sitting and fuming over our stress, where do you think all that excess sugar and fat wandering around is going to go?
My lower belly.
Exactly. Now, remember I said estrogen plummets, insulin becomes more sensitive. Okay. So now you also have all of these adrenal hormones floating around. None of this has a place to go. So the chronic continuous stress that we, especially at this age, remember high school kids, college, 2 jobs, 1 job, 2 jobs, husbands, sometimes, a lot of times divorce at this time. Mm-hmm. We constantly are forcing our body to work harder and maintain those high levels of cortisol, which is continuing that cycle of weight gain and eventually very harmful chronic systemic issues like heart disease, potentially cancer. It really, really becomes when you really dig into this, it becomes a really scary problem. That continued increased level of cortisol it just triggers everything. It triggers way more than weight gain. It triggers, blood pressure, high blood pressure. It contributes to diabetes, type 2 diabetes. It contributes to heart disease, which is our major number 1 killer of women in our age range. And it all goes back to maintaining and regulating stress hormones and your stress levels. And, sitting in front of the TV, that's another reason why, or sitting in front of your computer all day long, or just, sitting and fuming, you don't get those adrenal hormones out of your body, processed through your body.
Right. And so, which is why I'm now understanding even more the importance of eating so clean, because we don't want to add to the stress of our body. There's enough stress going on. We don't want to add to the stress by actually consuming stuff, nasties that are going to stress out our system.
You're right. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you for the science lesson.
Unfortunately, stress and cortisol is one of those things, everybody says, and that was one of the issues for me. It was like Lorraine said, exercising, pounding out those, and I was one of those people. I was pounding out these hardcore exercises 30 minutes a day, every single day, but then sitting in front of my computer all day long. And I'm like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. What's wrong? And it's because I'm pounding out this, 30, 45 minute hard workout increasing my cortisol because I am putting my body into a fight or flight response system. And then I'm sitting in front of the computer all day long going, well, why aren't I losing weight?
Even before I was in perimenopause, I know for me personally that hardcore exercise does not suit my body. It actually depletes my immune system.
Right.
I do not lose weight. It doesn't work. I respond really well to yoga, to a bit of swimming, but pretty like very calm, placid exercise actually has always suited my body. And I kind of know that about myself. So yeah,
that type of right. And that type of workout can actually reduce your cortisol levels, which is exactly what we're trying to do.
Right.
And again, cortisol, like insulin, is very sensitive to estrogen fluctuations. So the lower your estrogen level goes down, the more sensitive your cortisol is as well. Yay.
What's happening in menopause, right? Our
yes.
estrogen is depleting.
Yes. Well, in perimenopause, estrogen is doing this. Okay. In menopause, it just you're done. It's gone. It's very low, and yeah, it just stays low.
Okay. I'm going to be talking to some experts later in the week around how we can manage our hormones with HRT, etc., as well as another option. Does Sophie or Lorraine, would you like to add to anything there around stress, or should we move on?
I think everything from my perspective has been covered really well.
Yeah,
I appreciated the science lesson, Christine, but I just want to add a little thing, because being on social media now and again, I've kind of dropped off a little bit, but I used to see a lot of things on there about us women being superwoman and people advocating do many things and multitasking, and I can do this and I can do that. And I just think that, I don't advocate that, because I'd rather do something like, singular and do it well rather than balance all these plates, because you're going to be constantly in that heightened stress, state, which obviously we've just talked about, the adrenaline going up, the cortisol equals, the fat around the belly. So as much as we can do all these things, you're not doing your body any justice, and you may have to pay for it later, and then that might even exacerbate, more menopause symptoms, because you're going to be so stressed about how you look, how you feel, your brain feeling foggy, fuzzy, not being able to cope and manage these things. And they may make your menopause even worse, because this is just another layer, really. Yeah. So I would really advocate people just being kind to themselves. Who says you've got to be superwoman and do all these things? Yeah. Maybe just monitor how you are going about your life and how you are approaching your tasks, and seeing if it's benefiting you and whether you're happy really with your results. Because probably 9 times out of 10, you're probably thinking, do you know what? I didn't have to do all those things. I think I actually put that on myself. So just a bit of self-care coming in again, really.
Absolutely. I love it. I'm realizing we're on the hour, and just in case people have to leave the call, I have a couple of Q&A questions here before I ask any more of my own questions.
Okay.
So let me just read these out to you. So JKH has asked, is it okay to drink decaf, the water-safe processed version? Thanks. Anybody want to speak to decaf? Are we allowed decaf?
For me, when I think of things that are decaffeinated, like intentionally, something's taken out of something, I always think, what are they putting in there? So
natural. There's good decaf and bad decaf, isn't there?
Yeah.
Well, how do you know? So for me, I normally stick to my like herbal teas, really, which are just what they are, just, different fruits, berries, herbs, and that's it. I wouldn't necessarily go for like a decaf coffee, unless if you were somebody who really loves your coffee, then I guess it's better than knowing that you're going to have the caffeine in it and probably get all the spikes in terms of you going through the menopause already. So if you have to, but it's that thing again, see how your body's reacting to it. Because you may be one of these people that actually, I'm okay with decaf coffee. But me personally, maybe I'm a bit too extreme for some people, the way in which I approach food. But for me, I would just stay away from it, really.
Okay, cool.
That's just my personal thing.
I agree. If it's decaffeinated, it's decaffeinated because it's been processed through some process.
Yeah.
And whenever they process, if they taken something out, they're putting something in.
Exactly.
And I would ask the question, why? why do you, are you right now, are you drinking 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day? And so if we switch to decaf, the thinking is that we're going to be able to reduce the hot flashes. Well, I think we need to talk about something other than the decaf. Let's talk about why we're drinking 4 to 5 cups of coffee a day. It may be a different conversation, but I tend to stay away from the processing.
For me, like, I'm off the coffee completely at the minute, and it's interesting. I'm just not missing it at all. But I know there have been times in my life where I was coming off the coffee, and because it was such a, it was the habit,
Comfort.
And it was the comfort. It was like this sort of hot, because I like lattes, so it was like this hot milky thing, and it was like this flavor. So if I had a decaf version, I felt like it was a good step in the right direction, and it gave me that kind of cozy feeling. But then, it's a stage, isn't it? And then now I'm like totally off it, and it's okay. But
it's an addiction. It's caffeine. It's an addiction.
Come off it in stages, and if part of the stage of coming off it is having decaf, then maybe that's better than having caffeine.
I'd go ahead, Sophie. Sorry.
I was going to actually say coffee in particular has got more pesticides than nearly anything. So what I would say is actually try and if you are going to have coffee, have a really good quality organic coffee, and you can buy them. Just have one a day. A really good one. And see how you feel. You are your best doctor. If you're feeling any difference, if you have decaf and you feel better, fine, my view. But I have one really good quality coffee a day and I feel fine. So try and make it organic, see how you feel. If that doesn't work, experiment with an organic decaf, even though there are chemicals. You are your best doctor. That's why I have a food and mood diary and see how it makes you feel. Yeah. If you feel rubbish, don't do it.
True. And also, just to add on that, there are substitutes out there that people might want to try. And also, the other day, a friend of mine, I just made some milk, and she dropped these.
Chicory.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, she dropped these just 2 little pipettes of like an essence, like oil, and it was the essence from coffee. I'm not sure what the filtering process was, but honestly, it tasted like I just drank a cup of coffee. And that is something that if I find out what it is, I can always put it on the Facebook page. Yes, I was shocked.
Yes, let me know. Right, let me go to the next question, because I'm aware we're over the hour now. And I'm loving this conversation. This is wonderful. Okay, so Jean has asked, I've switched to decaf and cut off as much dairy as possible to help with hot flushes. I've noticed that when I eat sugar, it causes a hot flush almost immediately. I'd love to eliminate flushes altogether. Is there anything you can recommend? I am 18 months post-menopausal.
Can I interject? What I would say is have a protein. Every time you have something sugar, be it a banana, have like 4 almonds or a couple of Brazil nuts. Every time protein, glucose up, to stabilize your energy, so you have glucose, which is a sugar. To stabilize your energy, have protein. Like the GI diet is all about stabilizing. So if you have a good carb, like a sweet potato, have some kind of fish or lentils with it, or something, greens, of course.
Sorry.
Something to stabilize the sugar levels.
Great. Okay. Brilliant. Thank you. All right. I want to talk about soy. I'm hearing, now that I'm doing some research into this myself, I'm hearing, I don't know, rightly or wrongly, am I even hearing it right? You can tell me. That soy is important. We need to be having soy yogurt, soy milk, soy everything, because it is a great replacement for estrogen. Is that so? Who's going to, hold on, who have I got? Sophie, can you speak to that, please?
Soy, actually, in Asia, in Japan in particular, they don't actually have a word for menopause, because there is no translation, because 80% of the women actually don't have all the symptoms we have here. And that's because they have fermented soy, because it's got more vitamin K and more probiotics. But they have a little and often, whereas we have soya milk full of artificial sugars, soy yogurts, soya burgers. It's mostly soy and junk food. So if you're going to have it, have fermented soy like miso, tempeh and things like that. It's so delicious, and just have it a little and often, because the research is showing little and often can actually help balance hormones more.
So what about me having so I'm having like this sort of buckwheat and rice kind of muesli concoction in the mornings with my nuts and seeds and everything, and I'm putting soy milk on it because I thought that's the right thing to do. Organic soy milk.
Okay.
No added sweetener, organic soy milk. Tell me, is that right?
Does it have sugar in it? Have you looked at the sugar content?
No.
Have a look at the sugar content, because if you don't want dairy, you can have almond milk or coconut milk. Again, look at the sugar content in all of them. I have no problem with soy personally, but personally, I would like to see people having fermented soy, where the research is actually stating it can actually balance hormones and actually help reduce hot flashes and all the things you want to do in the menopause.
Right.
So it's just eating smart, really. You know, avoid the soya burgers, avoid the soy yogurts.
Right. Damn, I just got out and bought a pile of soy milk and soy yogurts. I'm like, right, that's what I'm meant to be doing. Okay.
Sorry.
No, this is great. This is wonderful. Anybody else got any opinions on soy?
Soy for me is something which, you know, in our country, I understand where Sophie's coming from with the study, but then for that country, they were brought up on soy, and obviously it was fermented, so their body's used to it. In England, for example, you know, it's one of those foods that you probably don't eat really when you're young. I don't remember eating soy when I was young. It's only like in the last few years. So it's like, it's going to be very different for my body. It may be another shock thing for my body. And is it good soy? You know, I think some of the soy that I had like a few years ago wasn't fermented. And obviously it's partly already broken down, so therefore I can deal with it better. So maybe the other soy that I had, which was just, you know, the blocks that you can buy and they probably have no labeling on them whatsoever. What is that? What does it even look like? You know, how far away does it resemble a soya bean? So what has gone into that process of making that, you know, tofu, for example? So for me, you know, if your body can digest it, then that's fine, because you've got to be able to absorb the nutrients from it and assimilate it and then be able to eliminate it out anyway. And, you know, some people can have so much soy, you know, with it being a phytoestrogen, you can get estrogen dominance and what have you, and that could tip you the other way. You've got too much, you know. So it's that thing about listening to your body again. Some people may be okay with it, some people may not. Some people may react to it even, because it's like a foreign body. Because, you know, when you look at tofu, does it even look real, does it? What is it?
Love it. Christine, what do you think about that?
You know, I'm not a fan, but here in the U.S., all of the 90% of the soybeans that are grown are genetically modified, heavily sprayed with herbicides. You know, it's almost all unfermented. There's so many things that can go that unfermented soy is linked to. Plus, if you have any autoimmune issues, it's just going to aggravate that as well. So, especially here in the U.S., because of our food manufacturing laws, it's just not worth it. It really just isn't worth it here, and especially here in the U.S.
That's just this, terrible.
Yeah.
Okay. But thank you for that opinion, because I was really wondering about that. All right, ladies, to wrap up the interview, I would love for each of you just to share a top tip for managing menopause. You might have already covered it, but what's your number one thing? If you could tell a woman one thing that's in perimenopause, what's that going to be? So actually, Christine, let's start with you.
Yeah, I did touch on it earlier. The one tip that I tell that I could recommend to everybody, and I always tell my ladies, make yourself the priority. Like I said, you've just spent the past 30 years taking care of everybody else. It is time to take care of yourself. It's the oxygen mask theory. When you're on a plane, put your oxygen mask on first before trying to help everybody else, because if you don't take care of yourself, you will not be able to take care of anybody else. And you have to make it a conscious choice every day. It's going to take a little bit of planning, certainly a mind shift, but book some time with yourself in your own calendar and keep that appointment.
And if you need help with putting yourself first, come over to the School of Self-Love.
Exactly.
That's what we're all about.
Exactly.
Also, thank you, Christine. I highly back you on that. Yeah. Lorraine?
Well, for me, I think I mentioned before, when I work with women, do your own little test, do your own little diary regarding the food that you eat.
Oh, you've just taken Sophie's.
Oh, well, we're on the same page. I think that's a good thing, Really, take on board what you're eating, but also what you're drinking as well, but also how you're spending your time, in terms of your lifestyle, how much exercise, even, sorry to say this, but, look, examine your poop, when you're eating certain things, because that is going to give you a bit of an indication of what your digestive system is like. And we all know about the gut and the brain connection, so to speak. And so if things aren't going on well here in the gut, chances are the brain is obviously going to be messed up too. So for me, it's definitely taking some time out to look at what you're ingesting in all manner of ways, and then do your own little research, be more conscious of your body, find out really what's working for you, because chances are you can probably spot some things that you may need to change for yourself.
I love this. We had 3 interviews yesterday, and I know the interviews coming up. I've spoken to all the experts, and what's really coming through, no matter what angle you're coming from, this idea of menopause is a chance to really know yourself, and maybe for the first time in your life, take care of yourself.
Yeah, for real.
That's the message, whether it's your mental health, your spiritual health, emotional health, physical health, whatever it is. It's like, come on, stop looking outside of yourself. Go within. Who am I? How do I work? What do I need? How can I love myself more? Like, that's I
am 53 years old, and I feel more comfortable with myself now than I have ever felt in my entire life.
Yay! Good for you. Yeah. Seriously, it's a great feeling, because I think for me, just to add, I went through my menopause like at 41, I had a hysterectomy, and then now I'm 50. I just feel so much alive. I feel like people say to me, well, what do you eat if you just eat plants? I'm saying I eat more of a range of foods than I ever ate before when I ate meat, because I'm more open. You're actually, you've got choices out there. The self-care comes in. You start thinking, what can I do to help myself? It's exciting. It's a journey. You're starting to embrace different things. It's like, what we're hearing now from each of us, whoever's out there listening, you're probably thinking, wow, I can take a bit from that. It's like what you said in the beginning, Katie. I can take a bit from what Lorraine's saying, what Sophie's saying, what Christine's saying, and let's see how it works on me. Because at the end of the day, we're all different. One size does not fit all at all. So really, if anyone can take anything away from me in terms of what I do that has helped me, then great. But there may be equal amounts of people out there who are going to hear Sophie and say, do you know what? She's right. I'm going to go for that. She's speaking my language. And the same for Christine as well. But, this is what makes us so unique as women.
Totally.
We got it. We got this.
We do.
This is why we're doing this. Thanks to you, Katie.
Brilliant. No, you're welcome. Sophie, what's your top tip? What do you want a menopause?
Well, my first one was pinched by Lorraine, but I'd also add on that. I put a mood diary on how you're feeling every day to know what foods kind of make you feel happy and alive, and what gives you hot flashes, and did you sleep well that day, and if not, I look at your food that you had in the day and why. But I'm going to add on top of that preparation. Always be prepared with foods and snacks if you go out. You don't make bad choices. I always have an apple and a few nuts in my handbag, or a banana. I put it in the night before if I'm going out training people. So I'm always prepared. Always be prepared. Always take a bottle of water in a non-plastic bottle, because that affects hormones, but that's another debate. And just be prepared. Preparation is king.
Yeah, I'm really with you on the preparation piece.
Yeah.
We're going to sneak in one more question here. We've got anonymous person asking, is there anything you would recommend or unrecommend if person on 18-month maintenance chemo plus in menopause? Actually, Sophie, I'm going to ask you this question. Is there anything you would recommend or unrecommend if a person's on 18-month maintenance chemo plus?
Well, you've got to, because I've had chemo and that put me into my menopause years ago. What I would say, you've got to be very careful with supplements. So please don't take any supplements unless your consultant's agreed. But one thing I would say is a probiotic is key, but a really super duper maximum one. I think Udo's Choice do a brilliant. Their Super 8 is amazing. There's so much research behind them. They've got billions and billions of bacteria. You really need to look after your gut if you're on chemo. So eating things like sauerkraut, hot lemon water. You want to make yourself really alkaline and avoid coffee because you're going to get massive hot flushes. Green tea, but that might still give you hot flushes. But probiotics and probiotic food is really important. And really alkaline foods and things without pesticides. Try and eat as organic as possible. So if you are going to eat meat, try and eat organic grass-fed meat rather than organic corn-fed meat, because the corns have pesticides and just, bone broths, really like natural foods, balancing blood sugar. If you're on chemo, you're probably on steroids, which will increase your weight. So you're going to crave more sugar. Balancing sugar is a key thing. I mean, I could go on for hours about cancer because that's something I'm passionate about, but they're the key things I would say.
Yeah, that's a great question for you, Sophie. And actually, it's going to lead in now to, I'd love all of you to share just how people can get in touch with you. Obviously, everybody that has opted into this interview series is receiving the links to get in touch with you. But this is going to go on to the School of Self-Love's YouTube channel, which is Daring and Mighty TV. And that will be available to the public, to anybody. It's also on the School of Self-Love's Facebook page now. So anybody can watch it. You don't have to have opted in. So can you just share how people can get in touch with you? Just give your website. And Sophie, do you want to start?
Yeah, I'm swnutritionuk.com. You can find me on there, or my email inquiries at swnutritionuk.com. You can go to my Facebook page. You can just click on it and contact me. My number's on there. I always read messages, so I'm really easy to get hold of.
Brilliant. Lorraine, how can people contact you?
My hashtag is vegan raw cooked, and it's all one word. And I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest. I'm on Facebook as well. But, I do have a website, which is lorrainepalmer.com. So you can catch me on there as well.
Brilliant, because I'm sure that people are going to watch this and go, I need to get in touch with these ladies. Christine, how do they contact you?
www.christinescooking.com. Email is christine@christinescooking.com. Facebook is Christine's Cooking or Christine Trumbull. I too respond, very responsive to messages and email.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you. And if you want to learn how to love yourself, come over to the School of Self.Love. That's me. All right, ladies, I have loved every second of this, every second. Thank you. You've helped me personally so much. I'm going to have to actually go back and watch this. I started taking notes, but then I can't do both. So I'm going to have to go back and watch and take more notes and apply all that you've said. I will definitely stop any eating in front of the television. Sorry. But yeah, I've just taken away so much. You've been so helpful, and I know I'm going to stay in touch with all of you. If myself or the School of Self-Love can support your work in any way, just let me know, because you're all doing amazing things in the world. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Time today. All right, lots of love. I'm going to stop the recording. Lots of love. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.